Hello and welcome to the 37th edition of the Local Lowdown podcast. My name is Zach Bischoff, and I am, as always, joined by.
Danny Chandler.
All right, Danny, you timed that perfectly. All right, Danny, today we're going to be talking about and recapping the first week of the NFL season. So, Danny, if you could just give me your thoughts on things on the or thoughts on the happenings of week number one of the NFL season. I botched that tremendously.
No worries, man. Yeah, of course, man. Um, when we think of week one in terms of all sports or game one, um, it, I always go back to the quote of you can't win them all unless you win the day. And I love that, new sense of a clean slate, a blank slate for every team, and all that comes with that. Because I just think it's just a tremendous time. Um, because optimism is in the air. And I just I am really was really excited to watch that on display this past week. Now, Zach, there was no shortage of storylines and happenings um, that took place in week one. We had the first game in Brazil, in São Paulo, Brazil, where the Eagles and the Packers played.
On that
Um,
horrific playing surface, might I
oh
add.
my goodness, yeah, that was really tough, man. I mean, you really, I mean, that was just super tough for all the players there because you couldn't get any traction anywhere, and also you're halfway across the world really. But I mean, I overall like the overall the fandom there was pretty cool to see because I mean I saw on the Sunday games obviously it was a great game 34-29 the Eagles won but um, and I mean, I think the Eagles are gonna be really solid this year. I think
Mhm.
they got some they got some unfinished business, especially the way that they ended last season. Because I think they lost like 7 of their last 8 games, if I'm remembering correctly, and they fired their defensive coordinator and Nick Sirianni, who's led them to. Um, a recent Super Bowl was on the hot seat. So I was glad to see them get back in the win column. But I mean, I think it was just awesome seeing all the international spectacle that was the game in Brazil because of the all the fans from different teams coming out and supporting. Um, but I mean, that is just such a hard assignment to play Friday night and in conditions like you mentioned, Zach, with that field. Um, and then, dude, I mean, and then we had um, the Thursday night game prior to that was crazy as well because Isaiah Likely, one toe was the difference, Zach. I mean, when I watched that game, I, I was rooting for mostly the Chiefs, but I couldn't help but get a little bit like just that adrenaline rush when I thought Isaiah Likely caught that touchdown, and then they were going to go for two to win the game. Like that was just an electric finish. Um, but I was really impressed with the way that because the Chiefs didn't play their best game. I mean,
Mhm.
I think they would admit to that. But I mean they still found a way to beat one of the top contenders in the AFC. So I
Yeah.
think they're gonna. I felt people were saying that was kind of an average game for the Chiefs, and they still were able to beat the Ravens, which
Yeah.
that's a good sign for them. So that was a really great game to kick off the NFL season, Zach.
Yeah.
And then our focus, at least my focus, was shifted to Sunday, man. And I mean, how can you not just love the electric finishes that we had to games? I mean the Detroit Lions and the Rams game went into overtime, and I mean that's just electric.
Yeah, yeah, that was a good one. I enjoyed that. I also have a question for you at the end when you're done here.
Um, yeah, I'll we'll get into more of the questions here. I'll hope to finish this up pretty, but and then I mean the biggest game that we were paying attention to, Zach, was the 1 o'clock kickoff between the Steelers and the Falcons at Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Hmm.
That was tremendous, man, and it was just a really solid game because I think the Steelers dealt with so much um, adversity super well because we thought Russell Wilson was going to be the starter all along, and then Justin Fields came in there and led us to victory. And how about Chris Boswell?
That's well.
6 field goals, Zach. Justin Tucker missed that kind of chip shot field goal on Thursday. So who's the new goat kicker of AFC North football? I think it's Chris Boswell, man.
Uh-huh.
That was, I mean, dude, it's been an incredible week one, and we got Thursday night football between the Bills and the Dolphins tonight here. So we're getting rolling here, Zach.
Danny, you mentioned to me earlier about the international spectacle of the Brazil game. Talk to me about the international fandom of the NFL and just how far the game truly reaches.
Yeah, Zach, that's a great point. And a good question. I think that the international fandom is really something special because I just what I immediately go to is the fact that there are so many um guys from from countries like Australia, that grow up playing rugby and then become punters for NFL teams because they got
Yeah,
such strong legs. And I mean, I just think too, like, you know, being Steelers fans, like I just love hearing about like Steelers like bars in Italy. Like
and yeah, in Mexico.
that's pretty awesome because even though we're different, we're like in different parts of the world, we're still rooting on the same team, which I think is pretty awesome. And I mean, like not to be all uh cliche here, but I think like it's a way of bringing the sports world together in a time where we need like we need to come together as people and as fans. So I mean, I love to see that international game in Brazil there.
And Danny, I have another question for you. Do you think
Okay.
there is now a quarterback controversy with Russell Wilson being injured and Justin Fields putting on the performance that he did? Give me 1 second. Let me find it. It was Sunday. It was let's see. Justin Fields here was he was 17 of 23 passing for 156 yards with no touchdowns and no interceptions. As I mentioned, the 6 field goals by one Christopher Boswell carried us to victory that game. Danny, do we have a quarterback controversy?
I think we are heading in that direction, Zach, because here's what I'll say, right? So we know, just a quick timeline for fans that maybe just be popping in for this episode, with the first regular season game starting. We talked about how I Russell Wilson is a guy that is a proven commodity in the NFL, but
Hmm.
he's also on the back half of his career. Not to mention, on July 24th, he got injured in a strength and conditioning test. He injured his calf.
Which he
Um,
really shouldn't have even been doing anyway.
cor-
But
cor- exa- Correct, Zach. And here's what I'll say. I think that either him or our medical staff or just people, like wanting to believe that, Russ will be good for game day, underestimated the severity of the injury. And now it just keeps coming back. And I can't help but be a little bit worried and have at least a, a couple of reservations and doubts that Russell Wilson is going to be able to sustain being a quarterback in this league because he's undersized and he's on the back half of his career.
mhm.
Not to mention that Justin Fields was very solid. I'll use the word solid because you didn't try to do too much. It was really kind of a feeling out process for much of the game, and I mean, he kind of stayed on schedule and was able to get out and scramble a couple times and convert third downs for us. I think at one point we were 5 for 8 for uh on third down conversions. Like and we got ourselves into third down and third and long more than we should have. But how many times last year, Zach, did we look at our third downs and instead of 5 for 8, it said 1 for 8? You
Yeah,
know, so I
progress.
exactly, and I think that if you win with a guy, if you win with a healthy quarterback, you should stay with that healthy quarterback. And
Yeah.
I know, I mean, Russell Wilson is probably really just probably frustrated the situation right now because he's the ultimate competitor, and I think I respect that. I think he's a great locker room guy and probably a great mentor to Justin Fields. But I think we've got to ride the wave of Justin Fields here. And
Mhm.
Zach, I would honestly say, as long as we keep winning, if we keep winning with Justin Fields, and if he keeps giving us a chance to win, then stay with him. You know, because I would much rather have a situation to where we give Russell enough time to rehab and not rush him in there, and maybe when it comes time in terms of matchups or just in terms of the way the uh, the pins fall, so to speak, like that's when we would go to Wilson. I don't think that's a bad situation, especially with how well the defense has been playing, Zach.
Yeah, but also, Danny, you don't pay Russell Wilson $30 million to ride the bench. But I also do agree that I think Wilson will be the quarterback for this week, and I think for the foreseeable future. Wilson, or I'm sorry, excuse me, Justin Fields had 57 yards on the ground. I left
Yeah,
that out, but I think that's something that Fields is known for.
yeah.
Um, so I think that was a good week, and we will ride the hot hand there. Danny, turning your attention to the I wanted to mention the Cowboys and Browns, and Danny, just
Oh my
the true
goodness.
atrocity of that um, Cleveland Browns game. Your thoughts?
Oh, Zach. I mean, to be honest, man, I cannot say that I felt bad that the Browns gave up 40 points. I was
Because
in
it was
fact
pretty north.
or 33 points. My apologies. Um I cannot say that I am sad about that, especially because just of the all the off the field stuff with Deshaun Watson and all that comes with that. And I mean, I think that the Cowboys, man. I mean, they just were able to really light up the Browns defense. Not to mention, Zach, that Deshaun Watson threw 2 interceptions, and that can't um be understated because as we see with all NFL games, if you win the turnover battle, you're more likely to win the game. So I mean, Zach, it's pretty awesome to see the Steelers, at 1-0, and all the rest of the teams at 0-1 in the AFC North. Now I get that it's early, right? We haven't gotten into the back half of our schedule yet. We're only 1 week
Which
in.
will be extremely brutal, by the
A
way.
100%. And so, Zach, that is what gets me back to the fact that we gotta really try and rehab Wilson for as long as we can. But I mean, Zach, the Browns, I never have very much to say that's nice about the Browns, especially because I thought for the longest time that they were gonna get Brandon Ayuk, and I tried to be optimistic through that whole process, and maybe my I could have been more optimistic, and maybe that's what cost us Brandon Ayuk. Maybe I should have called Omar and just really tried to bring him a cup half full of optimism that we could get him. But I was just as glad to see that the Browns did not get Brandon Ayuk either. And I mean, switching gears to the 49ers just while I'm thinking of it, Jack, they didn't even have Christian McCaffrey, and they absolutely dominated the Jets. I think they're a team that's like been so close on the cusp of the Super Bowl for just uh, going on the better part of 2 years now. And I mean, with George Kittle and Debo Samuel and their role in the receiver documentary, I can't help but like the 49ers a lot more than I did. So that's my little pro 49ers tangent off of the Browns' dreadful performance, which I was very happy to see.
Yeah, I'm also very proud to see that the Browns looked like crap against Dallas there. But Dave, turning your attention to Week 2 for the
Yes, sir.
Steelers, first off against the Chargers,
Broncos here because it would have
Broncos.
been
Yes, Broncos.
Wilson's revenge game.
Yeah, and I certainly don't think it's going to be that, considering that he, I believe, is still limited in practice this week.
Correct.
So I believe that it will be Justin Fields once again in the Wilson Bowl. Danny, what are well, first of all, give me your prediction for the Steelers, and then give me the rest of what you're looking for in week number 2.
Yeah, yeah, and just to give a little context to the fans again that are maybe just jetting in. Um, Mike Tomlin said on Tuesday that they are preparing as if Fields is the starter, and then just Mike Tomlin does not love to be clear with the media, which is something that I
He's never, he's never clear.
no I know that's
He's
something
never
that
clear with the media, and it's
if
funny.
I got a chance to talk with Mike, I would ask him to be a little bit more upfront with the media. But I understand, he's trying to kind of do a little bit of gamesmanship here and not really, spill the secret sauce, so to speak. But he also, when asked if Wilson, showed that he could play, would he even be the starter? And he said that's a big if. So my inclination is that they're going to ride the wave with Field, just as you said, Zach. Um, I think that um, it is going to be a pretty similar score to the score against the Falcons. I'm looking at the Broncos right now, and they lost 26-20 to the Seahawks last week. So I am gonna say the Steelers are going to win the game. Um, 20 I'm going to say 23-17 because I think we'll get in the we're going to we're going to get 2 touchdowns. I think George Pickens is going to have a big play, and I think Najee Harris is also going to have a plus 10-yard run to get us in. So that's my two, big explosive play predictions. And then I think Boswell is also going to just drill two 40 or 50-yard field goals that puts us to 23. And then, I mean, our defense, Zach, that's another thing, man. I mean, our defense, as long as we, as an offense, can, give the defense breaks and make sure that they're well rested and all of that, Zach. I mean, we got some absolute game wreckers on our defense, man. I
We
mean,
do.
honestly, Zach, were you skeptical of the Dante Jackson trade for Deontay Johnson? Or did you know it all along that he would be a good player?
I was initially. I
I
was.
Yeah, no, I was too, man. And I got to tell you, Zach. I mean, I I really give all the credit in the world to Omar Khan and Andy Weidel and company because Zach, I mean, that one interception was absolutely a huge play, and I mean
It was.
to get that a 1-for-1 swap for with Deontay Johnson, like I just think that that adds another layer on defense that I think Deontay Johnson will be easier to replace in the offense if that makes sense. because I was impressed with Fryermuth, as well as
He just got paid too for
yeah,
almost,
that yes, and I think
what was
that
it, 4 years,
uh,
50 million? No, 30 million, 40 million. I don't
let
remember.
me see if I can do some quick on the spot numbering here. But yeah, I mean,
I
so
think it was 4 years for 30 or 40 million. I think. Just give me your full
yeah,
abbreviated,
no, that sounds right here.
give me your
Four
abbreviated
years,
thoughts.
48 million.
Three, what'd you
Four,
say? 3 years, 48 million.
yes, sir.
All right, yeah. Give me your very brief thoughts, and then just give me your final thoughts after that.
I got you, brother. Yeah, no, I mean, so with Fryermuth being really our number two receiver and our defense, just I mean, we scored. Uh, I mean, we had three turnovers, which was just incredible. Um, and I mean, so as long as we can kind of tread water on the offensive end, which that's a big if because Zach, I gotta be honest again, man. When when Fields had that first third down, Van Jefferson was wide open, and we missed him on that play by that. But we ended up figuring it out, and so that was really awesome to see. Um, But I think the key for the Steelers this year is going to be consistency. I think that we a lot of times, um, you know, our viewers in the chat may know if they're Steelers fans and just general NFL fans that the Steelers love to play down to their competition. There is no reason there is absolutely no reason why we should uh, be in a close game with the likes of um, the Browns. Later on in the game, we gotta win the games that we're supposed to win because we I think we can do that, and that's I think that's going to be the key for us moving forward here, Zach. But I'm very excited for week two.
Danny, we have a request in the chat for your socials. Do you have any socials you would like to have people follow you on? I just wanted to ask that before I didn't want to give your socials out unless you wanted them. You can
Yeah, I can
you
I can put it in the chat here.
should be able to put it in the chat. I'm not sure what you see
Awesome.
because what I see is different than you. But while you're
That
doing
might be the
that,
next. We appreciate you tuning in here. Uh,
thank you. Danny, while you're doing that, just your final thoughts before we wrap up here.
yeah, man. I am very excited that football is upon us here, and I mean it's just I'm choosing to look at this Steelers season um with the cup half full, so to speak.
Hmm.
Zach, because I really think, especially with our defense, we've touched on that ad nauseum here. So but I think it's super important that we really give credit to our defense because I know the offensive side of the ball has been the one that's been the most um like talked about in the offseason, I feel like. But
Hmm.
very quietly, Cam Hayward had another underrated performance. He's always, there to in the middle, and TJ Watt, like we said, just wants it more than a lot of people. So I think if we can help our defense out and just, keep scoring enough points like we did in the Atlanta game, I think that's gonna be our key here moving forward.
All right. Thank you very much for tuning in. Hey, we'll get Danny's socials out there to you. It's not something I really thought of. I should have like QR codes up here or something. But we're gonna be back here live tomorrow, same time. Well, not same time, but same channel. We ask you to just tune back in then, and then we can get those to you if you'd like. Once again, we thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time right here on the Local Lowdown podcast. Oops.